What's up, guys? Welcome to another week of Bankroll Blitz. First, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm here with Josh Lander and Jut Picks. Fellas, thanks for joining me. First, I'm going to go to you, Josh. Tell me about last week. Up, down, anything that surprised you with the quarterback play specifically, or teams that might have won or lost?
Surprises, not necessarily. I ended 3-2 because Houston came back against Tennessee. And Jet and I were talking before we started the stream, and we were like, man, this quarterback play, it's tough because I think a part of like what limits the amount of volume that I'll bet on NFL right now is like, do I really need to bet on backups? I don't have any context for like any of the scenarios I'm facing with these dudes, right? Like I was kind of all over Nick Mullins because I'd seen him in the 49ers like look like a gunslinger, right? Like the Southern Miss's all-time leader in yards, right? All that kind of stuff. So I went with that, and I was like, yeah, you look fine, but it was like still that was such a different scenario than playing Kyle Shanahan's offense. Like, what am I supposed to do with this stuff? So overall, like I said, 3-2 picking sides and like 2-1 on the player props. So nothing great, but the season continues to like surprise in that, like, how are you supposed to know what's going to happen next?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Jet, anything stick out to you?
Agreed. It was a low volume week. Speaking of quarterback play, I was on Zach Wilson's overpass attempts, and I see the guy gets taken out of the game. And at the second, I was like, he get benched? I mean, he was playing pretty bad, but now I think it's concussion. So yeah, low volume week. And then Monday night was just profitable, but as an Eagles fan, it was a little disappointing, obviously. But profitable week, low volume, but I'm excited for tonight, and then a couple games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
That Eagles game was probably what stuck out the most to me as a bettor, because I just, I had such a great day betting on Sunday, and then I show up for Ryan and Brian podcast on the Gold Boys Network, and I'm just giving out these Eagles picks, right? Like I got Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown in the first half, and I'm just on cloud nine. But little did I know, I took DeAndre Swift carries with Eagles money line. I took someone's receiving yards with Eagles money line. I took Eagles before the news at -3.5. Yeah. Then I took Eagles again at -4, and I'm just like end up losing money when it should have been such a beautiful day. The Eagles kind of surprised me the most there, and I don't want to sit here and put it all on Jalen Hurts, but at some point we gotta have this man act like a leader. And why I say at some point have him act like a leader. Twice in that game, he threw interceptions that were unnecessary.
So the guys we're throwing to Quez Watkins. We're moving down. I say we as an Eagles fan because
that's fair.
Yeah, we're moving down the field. I think they're up 4. It's 14-10. 14-10. They're at the 50. Hey, let's throw a bomb to Quez Watkins, who has been targeted all game, and he wasn't open really. I mean, he's draped and covered, and people complaining about he was held. But some forced errors, and I think he needs to take some accountability. I agree.
And then I genuinely think that last drive, Jalen Hurts being sick said, "There's no way in hell that I'm going to overtime. I'm going to try and win this game here." And but listen, people want to call the Eagles frauds and all this nonsense. They're still a good team, and I think they're still going to be a Super Bowl contender when you have that kind of talent on your roster. It takes a couple good weeks like they had at the beginning of the season. They have a tough schedule. They're going through the gauntlet. So
can I ask a quick question to the Eagles fan on the show, which is like, where are we at with Sirianni right now? Well, just because when you have antics like that, like it's totally chill when you're winning.
Yeah. It's funny, actually. I saw a tweet from an Eagles reporter, I think it was yesterday, that the reason they called that play call at the end, that deep ball to A.J. Brown with 12 seconds left, was because they were playing for a pass interference call, which is like mind-boggling to me that you're relying on a referee making a play. You're throwing down the sideline. So, it's fun. His antics are fun when we're 10-1, and he embodies Philadelphia with his trash talking, his persona, and his ego. Definitely his ego. And then when you're losing, it's like, oh, can this dude just shut the hell up, right? But that's kind of what you get with a guy like him. So.
Yeah. That's totally fair. Let me go into my first play of the week, and it's a teaser. I'm teasing the Bills, taking them down to -6, and the Colts up to +7.5. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills taking on the Chargers. I had someone ask me on the podcast earlier today, would I take Bills -12.5? or would I take Chargers plus 12.5? And the reason behind their question was, do I believe that the new coach bump or, would continue to help, another team at 60% covering when a new coach takes over? I said, man, I don't really want to play with that kind of fire, but I do think they win by at least a touchdown. Buffalo Bills over these past few weeks have had a difficult schedule, and people kind of considered them out of the playoffs. I know we talked about this about 4 weeks ago on the Gold Boys live show, if the Buffalo Bills were going to be in the playoffs. I gave out Buffalo Bills 5 weeks ago, plus 150 to make the playoffs. The line got all the way to plus 550, and I was just like, I felt dumb. I was like, what did I miss? And then they all of a sudden, they start turning it on. They're playing good. What they're really doing is playing great defensively. Their defense have stepped it up. They've moved all the way into the top 10 in defensive DVOA. Their pass defense is back stingy again. I thought, with White going down, they, kind of have some issues there. But I went the Bills -6. Like, this is a Chargers team who's going to be without their top 2 players in Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert there. I had to take the Bills. The Bills are on a mission right now. If it was like a Bills had just clinched or clinching the playoffs was right there in their scope, I would see a letdown spot here after knocking off the Cowboys in great fashion. But this is a Bills team that has no room for error. They have to continuously play great. So I went and faded the Chargers there. The next one, I took the Colts. I got them up to through the touchdown mark. I cannot see the Atlanta Falcons beating anybody by more than a touchdown. And I can't see them beating the best coach team in the NFL. Yes, shout out to Shane Steichen. No matter who's down or who's in, they are playing great football, and great for them. They got rid of Darius Leonard. People thought Darius Leonard would be an addition to the Eagles. You guys saw he looked lost, looked like his controller had glitched while playing Madden. And good news for them, they get Jonathan Taylor back. So I brought them all the way up to a touchdown. Again, it's 6-point teaser, Bills and Colts.
Joe, take it away.
Sure. It's funny. I have a play in that Buffalo Bill game that correlates nice with you, Brad. I'm taking, especially after watching last week, James Cook. What was it? I got the number over 14.5 rush attempts. You can get that -115 on MGM. And then FanDuel actually has a number of 15.5. So getting a good number and a pretty decent price. And I feel really confident at that 14.5 mark after the absolute slaughtering the Bills did on Sunday at primetime 425 game against the Cowboys, where Cook 25 carries. And then week before was 10 against KC. 2 weeks before that, 17 and 16. One was against Philly. So I think he's obviously proven that he's that guy in the backfield. Young guy on a rookie contract. Give him the ball, especially a guy like Josh Allen, who I do love, but does have turnover issues. He's turnover prone. But in a game as heavy favorites, even on the road, coming off game with 25 carries, I think you just keep pounding the rock to this guy because he is so efficient. Over, I think, 125 yards on the ground last week. So if you can get his rush attempts, 14.5, I still would if you only have FanDuel, obviously line shot, but 15.5 is a great number. And if you want to even go to his ladder, his rush yards, I do like that. But I will be betting his rush attempts at 14.5.
You might have said it. What are his yards at?
His yards, I can check real quick for you, actually. I know his rushing and receiving combined was around close to 95.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy, but I mean, he's been that efficient. So I actually see his.
I got 67.5. Is that the best?
I see 65.5 on DraftKings and Caesars. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I see 67.5, but yeah, I'm not looking at DraftKings yet. So no, because I like that too. I'm with you. I'm the Bills to win this game feels right. I don't know. There's some people that are like coming in and giving me reasons behind the Chargers, and I just won't listen. So that's all I got. I'll go right into my first one because I am going to kick it off with a rushing and receiving. And to be honest, I don't feel that great about that many sides. So I'm just running into my props here.
Let's get it.
I'm going to go with Breece Hall. And I have like a whole bunch of numbers to give you why this it hasn't happened recently. But so the rushing is at 45.5. Let me shop this with you guys. Do I do the 45.5 rushing or do I think I tack on it's because it's 78.5 for the rushing and receiving combined.
Yeah.
The receiving, he's gotten more receiving yards than rushing yards in like 3 of the last 6 games. So and it's not hard when you rush 6 times for 12 yards like he did. But you're playing the Manders, so like whatever the opposite of like a movable force meeting, right? That kind of opposing object is like the opposite of that. But I'll take the sort of like very movable force and fade the Manders at this point with the way that they're not only giving up yards all over the field. Obviously, you always want to take maybe like another quarterback against them as well. But really for Hall, like he hasn't done this in 8 games. He hasn't gone over in 8 games, and the prop just keeps dropping. But like I said, the run defense for the Manders, 91 yards on the ground at least in 13, 14 games this season to the RB1. So like, look, the adjusted line rate for the Jets on offense, not awesome. But the adjusted defensive line rate for the Manders at this point is worse. So I'm just going to, like I said, take the slightly less awful option here with a guy who, like, at least if he gets in space, I know he can break one.
Mm-hmm. Now, I like with the rushing and receiving there, but I don't think you could go wrong either way. But the rushing receiving also gives you the option if they end up going down. Not many teams have the privilege of being dead last in defensive DVOA. Only one gets that glorious spot, and that is the Washington Commanders. They're second to last, dead last in pass DVOA, which helps you open that a lot. And what I like about Breece Hall too is we haven't seen that many big like gash runs, but we've seen a lot of those big gash passes. The extension of the run game is the pass. So I do like that play there.
You're up for number 2, Brad.
Yeah, let me pull this up here. Oh, man. We are talking about another running back, and I'm taking Rachaad White over 24.5 receiving yards. Line is up 10 yards from last game. And last week when I gave out Keaton Mitchell over 9.5 receiving yards, it felt like the sketchiest bet I've ever given out because he only gets 2 targets per game. But my reasoning was because they're playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are one of the worst teams covering running backs out of the backfield. He goes and obviously breaks it in the very first catch that he makes, cashes that. I think we see much of the same. Not even before I get to how great he is on the Buccaneers, but I think that any wide running back who can catch passes out of the backfield against Jacksonville, it's mandatory for you to look at their over. Now you have Rachaad White, who's getting a ton of targets, and he's like Breece Hall, has that breakaway ability. And my last point to this, what really makes me like over 24.5 is Canales has been actually giving him legitimate routes. Like it's not none of this dink and dunk. He's having an extended route tree for a running back because he's that important to their pass game. So I went with him, and I'm really excited. I have him on my fantasy team. He stunk at the beginning, so let's hope he continues to ball out.
He's going to win some fantasy championships at this point.
Yeah. I went as a Bucks guy, and the last 3 years I've been burned as a Bucks. Oh, last 2 years, because 3 years ago we were good running the ball. But last 2 years I was been getting burned getting my Bucks running backs because you always get them cheap.
Yeah, like the Leonard Fournettes.
Yeah.
So ironically, I'm out also targeting another running back.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm going Chuba Hubbard over. Let's see what the best number. I think I got 68.5 on FanDuel, which is 5 yards better than the rest of the market. I think DraftKings had set at 73.5, FanDuel at 68.5. So speaking of Rachaad White, last week against Green, so Chuba and the Panthers will be playing against the Packers. Rachaad White last week, 89 yards. Saquon the week before, 86. Yep. Pacheco, 110. Montgomery and Gibbs combined for over 100. Even Eckler, 64 yards on the ground. So I think he doesn't have to be – he's not obviously an efficient back, but he's getting the carries. 3 straight weeks of at least 22 carries. I mean, if you're giving a guy the ball 22 times –
yeah.
Anything over 15 to 8, if I can get anything over 17 and a half attempts, I feel great about this number. The last 3 weeks, 104 yards, and then back-to-back weeks of 87 yards. So, obviously we're banking on the game script not getting completely out of hand. But again, I don't put too much stock into the Packers, really. I am a Jordan Love guy, but decimated receiving core that's extremely young.
Yes.
Aaron Jones is back, but I'm not putting too much stock in that offense. I think this is another low-scoring game like we saw last week with Atlanta and Carolina, where they just fed the ball to Chuba 22 times, and he went for 87. So that's another running back that I love for on Sunday.
Brad, do you remember that I made this pick last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy? Did you take his attempts or his yards?
I took his attempts, and it was
I love
supposed
it.
to be 2.5.
I
It was
love it.
supposed to be 2.5.
I tailed you. I was gonna say I tailed you on that, and like they just keep handing the ball, and like
Dude.
even like the announcers, the commentators are saying like doesn't matter the situation.
Nope.
They don't want to have Bryce Young be throwing the ball 30, 40 times in the game. It's like, yeah, keep racking it up.
And Miles Sanders, as you know, I think he's kind of sad.
Yes.
He's earned.
Gone.
Yeah, he's done. And
if you
his
guys,
attempts all the way to 16.5 now, Chuba. So the books are expecting him to touch the ball. You know, they have it at line at 16.5. With FanDuel's got 16.5 with the price at -130. So they're expecting this man to touch the ball a ton.
Yep.
So 68 yards, 67 yards, extremely doable.
100%. If you want, we can splice in my 3-minute rant from last week and just fucking put it right here, baby. Because the thing too, real quick, Judge, is like you were like, you know, talking about the game script, and I don't even that one of my points last week was like it doesn't matter what the game script is.
You're right.
Part of that is like you can't. Bryce Young might need to get his reps in, and you might be down by 3 scores in the end of the first quarter, but you cannot put Bryce Young in a situation to throw 40 times. He will die. Like he will become the ghost of David Carr will come up, right? Dude who got sacked like 77 times in his rookie season and then was never the same. You can't do that, right? To this dude. We know that. We have precedents to say that like, oh, well, we just have this massive dude who linebackers are tired of hitting by halftime. So like, let's just get 20. I looked at it a million times in the box score. I was like, wait, this is his box score from last week, 23 and 87, but 22 and 87. Let's go for it again. Like the only reason I didn't hit it or bring it, to be honest, is like I hate feeling like I was ahead of something and then I'm now on par with it in a way. But I think we're still ahead of it, man. Like
I think so too.
17.5 or 18.5 would be where I start considering the under, to be honest. But not even I wouldn't take an under at that point. So anyway, yeah, we're all vibing on that one. I'm trying to figure out how to play a Dallas Cowboy to either get receptions, get completions, or attempts, basically. And I guess I'm being obvious that I'm leaning towards Dak. I haven't made this bet yet. I want to be completely honest because I'm going to bet some overs in this game with the Dolphins. I don't hate 50 points. Like, I think the Cowboys offense is going to come along for the ride, unlike last week. That's my main takeaway, right? Like, sure, I don't love the Cowboys on the road always. That's never going to always prefer their offense at home. It's just unstoppable there. But I do think that against a defense that is insanely banged up, I'm going completions. Let me just be honest. I'm going to go over 23.5 completions for Dak. And then, like, I don't know, get at me on social because the CD Lamb and like Jake Ferguson bets are coming too. And it's basically just because Miami can actually stop the run pretty well. And now they're going to, like, I don't know, Xavier Howard might not play. I think both their safeties are questionable. They've already lost their 2 best pass rushers for the season. So yeah, they're really effed in that sense from the being able to stop the pass. And congrats on stopping the combo of like Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson last week, but it ain't going to be like that this week. So the completions at 23.5 feel right for him because I don't think they're going to be picking up any like 3rd and 4 running. Like they're not going to pick up those like shorter third downs on the runs. That's where I think we'll see a lot of those Dak completions to get him over 24 or 23.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Cowboys were just in such a bad spot. Like Bills surging, they're in a massive letdown spot. Now they play against Miami, who is not healthy. And the weather down here in Florida is great. So they're going to be playing in great football weather too. Like it's probably going to be 70 degrees at game time with minimal winds. Like what quarterback doesn't want to throw in that? Let me get to my last pick here. Boom, boom, boom. DJ Moore over 67.5 receiving yards. I wanted to kind of tackle this game and fade somebody because both defenses leave a lot to be desired. Especially against the pass. But DJ Moore is Mr. Opportunity. He gets a ton of volume. He's a target monster. And he's a reception monster. And more importantly, he has breakaway ability. So I like his number there. And for anybody who knows me and my milestones, I will be playing DJ Moore 100 plus. Last week, was it on this show? Yeah, last week we cashed Miami Dolphins over 2.5 field goals as well for plus 110, which was nice. I don't have a price for DJ Moore 100 plus receiving yards yet, but I definitely will put it on Twitter.
I like it.
Awesome. I do have a play for tonight, but Brad, I'm sure is this getting published after tonight's game and stuff?
Probably.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So I can kind of turn. I was backing DeAndre Swift last week as we talked on as we talked about last Monday against the Seahawks. So I backed the under Swift rushing yards last week. Got concerned on the first drive when the Eagles marched down the field and he was not really involved, and Kenny Gainwell was involved, but he then came in the second half and ended the first half to really kind of. I think I got his line at. It was pretty low. I know me and Brian versus the books were on it as well. Pretty much the same number.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So we were both on that, and we were actually talking about adding Eagles money line. Ironically, that you said, Brad, that you had. So I'm going to go back to Swift on Christmas Day. So I'm getting 62.5 on FanDuel, and then the rest of the market's about 65.5. So obviously I feel great about both those numbers. But again, I just think this Eagles offense needs to get back to they've dominated kind of their bread and butter, I should say, was early in the season when Swift was, multiple 100-yard games and Hurts not throwing the ball 35 times. And again, we can talk kind of game scripts and stuff like that, which a lot of these player props, they dictate on the game script of what you envision is going to happen. Now, the Eagles obviously are big favorites and against the Giants on Christmas on Monday. So I'm envisioning, again, Swift getting another 15 plus carries and making pretty easy work. I know a lot of people are on the Boston Scott train of the giant killer, hopefully I don't see, hopefully, third quarter, fourth quarter, that comes around. But to start this game, especially against the Giants, I think the Eagles need to go back to their bread and butter of riding Swift. That people will say they have a 3-headed monster, 2-headed monster, even with Gainwell, but I'm not bought into that. I think Swift's easily the most talented back. We saw in Detroit. I know I even witnessed it when Swift is a Philly boy. He went to St. Joe's Prep, so I even watched a little bit of that. So I'm a big fan of him. 74 yards last week on the ground. So I'll gladly go back to that prop.
What was the number you got?
I got, let me check real quick, 62.5 on FanDuel.
Nice.
The rest of the market's around like 65.5.
Cool.
I like it.
Go ahead,
Word.
Tell us maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to close it out, and I'm just going to fade the Steelers. That's really what it comes down to. I'm just going to keep fading them because I think like the game last week, I did not like the Bengals as much, and we saw what happened either way. But this week, like, I just don't think they're going to have as much success stopping them against the pass. Is Watt fully healthy still for this game? I saw him, like, you never know, just because like missing Wednesday doesn't really mean anything at this point. But yeah, so that's a huge part, obviously a huge part of it. And he ended up playing and then missing last week for the most part, which was, he came back in for some plays, but he didn't play as many snaps as he normally obviously would, which would be pretty much like 99% of them. But yeah, so that's a huge part of this is once you lose that, like there's just nothing going for them. They're still going to be at 28th passing offense DVOA, right? Like everything in terms of passing. Their offensive line hasn't created holes in the run game in the last 3 weeks. They've dropped all the way down there in offensive line adjusted rate as well. So like just the trend here, like maybe I would consider Mike Tomlin dog on the road. Didn't work last week. Don't think it's going to work even in this situation, which is not where you take Mike Tomlin, to be honest. If you're just one of those dudes who wants to like blindly fade him, I get that they're still a dog, but under a field goal for the Bengals, I am a Jake Browning believer. And if the wide receivers, if he has any time, like, yeah, then Jamar Chase should be running all over the field. There was a T Higgins reemergence as well. So yeah, just give me the Bengals plus 2.5 on the road, or I'm sorry, minus 2.5 on the road.
Yeah, I like the Bengals. I took, oh my goodness, Hudson over 2.5 receptions parlayed with Aston Villa money line in soccer. So anyone wants a little combo there. Let's get to our touchdown scores. Hit mine last week. I played it solo last week, and I'm going to play this one solo as well as along with our parlay. I'm going Rashee Rice. The price wasn't out this morning. Let me just double check here. It should probably be close to around plus 200, which is a good price. He's been getting targeted a ton in the red zone, and now Jerick McKinnon didn't practice again today. So that just leaves Edwards-Helaire as their running back, and they don't have a ton of confidence in him. So it's really only two options in the red zone, and that's Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
All right. I have one from tonight, and I messed up, Brad. I remember messaging you.
Oh yeah.
I do have. Let me see. I was trying to look at the price for it. I Jonathan Taylor, but it got juiced pretty bad, like minus 140.
If you want to play him, you can play him. It doesn't need to be crazy. I when I make my touchdown parlay, people, I don't look at the price. I got Jonathan Taylor.
I got you.
Plus
Let
105.
me see. real quick.
I got
You
JT
can get
plus
JT
105.
plus 105.
Yeah.
Real quick, let me use this silence to also say Jamar Chase was ruled out. So T. Higgins will be running all over the field.
Yes,
and your
T. Higgins.
and our tight end boy for the Bengals should be catching some balls.
All right, here we go. So yeah, I'm so not only is Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy team, so I'm banking on him this week, but I'm finding a good price on Caesars minus 110 on
plus
Taylor
115 on Hard Rock.
Oh, really? I wish I had access to that. So that's phenomenal, especially with FanDuel at minus 145. So usually FanDuel and MGM are pretty awful with their touchdown odds, but anything close to even money, I think is a great price, especially if Zach Moss isn't suiting up. So, which I don't expect him to be. Honestly, we won't see until later in the week. But Jonathan Taylor fully practiced today, fully practiced yesterday. So, and easily, obviously, his talent is immense. Before he got hurt with that thumb injury, again, I don't expect a thumb injury for a guy like him to affect him. And they're playing Atlanta, who, again, game script dictating. I think Taylor touched the ball a ton today. If it was like a hamstring injury, anything related to where I think it would affect his running game or in the pass catching game, I would be a little prone to maybe shying away from this. But back-to-back fully practiced with a thumb injury, I'm totally invested into him, especially at plus. If you can get plus money, that's a great play.
Yeah, I'm going to play that. Nice.
Yeah, you're getting a pretty nice bet there. Way to go, Hard Rock. You're going to be invested all over the place with this dude if he's also helping you win a fantasy championship. Hopefully, definitely don't. Maybe just leave him out of your DFS lineup or something.
He doesn't
too much out of the Taylor exposure.
He's like sweating.
But no, I like it. So I'll keep it simple then, because I do like Hunter Henry to score a touchdown in a really great matchup against the Broncos defense that can't stop tight ends. It's plus 350 still, which is wonderful. And like maybe we look at what that looks like, toss it in there. If you want the I'm going to definitely put a unit on this as a solo bet, to be honest, rather than any kind of crazy touchdown prop or parlay or anything. But
you don't want to put him in the parlay?
No, Mike Evans is still plus 105. If he's still plus money against the Jags, then I don't know. I mean, we could play wide receiver probably and get it close to a touchdown against probably the secondary. So plus one. I mean, can I let you play around with it? I'm going to bet both those guys a little bit less, obviously a lot bit less on Hunter Henry, but Mike Evans
a little bit close to 10-1 with Mike Evans.
Yeah, we know we were going to get with that, but it might be close. If it's 20 with Hunter, let's do two. Let's do two. I'll throw an extra 10 on.
All right, let's do two. It's 22 to 1.
I knew it was going to be 20, so that's why I was like, all right, let's go.
We'll do two.
All right, cool.
That's great. All right, listen. So we're gonna do 2 touchdown parlays. The first one, Jonathan Taylor, Rashee Rice, and Mike Evans. The second one, Rashee Rice, Jonathan Taylor, and Hunter Henry. As always, we're gonna give the money away. So if we hit it, we're gonna give it to whoever retweets, likes, and comments on the Twitter post. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button, the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when we go live. Drop your favorite bets in the comment. And if you're listening in podcast form, rate and subscribe. As always, I want to thank Jut. Follow him on Twitter at JutPicks. Thank you, Mr. Josh Lander. And I'm Brad Thomas. Enjoy the games and have a great weekend. Happy holidays.